Hey everyone, so yes, I'm here to make another video about Brock Eventful, the Toucan TV guy, owner of the Toucans, Tupac, Maeve, Beatrix, and the deceased Toko Toucan Ripley. I'm doing this again because I just by complete random chance happened to stumble on something very interesting that definitely adds some more credence to the idea that he is basically the Carol Baskin of toucans. That he's knowingly misleading people about toucans in their care, and he's basically a narcissist. I've also obtained some more info on him, and if he's made mention of anything I'm talking about, please let me know, because I don't follow the channel very closely, so at this point, I'm guessing this information has been hidden or at least pushed aside to some degree. So anyway, I searched the term pet toucan on Google, and look what I happened to find. Mr. Brock has been showing off toucans and essentially promoting them as pets for almost a decade, as far as I know. This is a post on Reddit, of which the account is deleted, that he made about 9 years ago or so, and it's called "I thought Reddit might like to see pictures of my baby toucan." And wouldn't you know it, he did used to own an Arasari. I thought that he started out with the Toko toucan, but he started out with an Arasari, I think. And so this is presumably his first toucan species. So basically throughout this post on Reddit, he's eating up all the attention people are giving him for owning a toucan. He's even saying positive things about owning toucans as pets, practically telling people they make superior pets to parrots. And you might be very surprised to hear the reason why, but I'll get to that in a minute. But first he says, toucans aren't as demanding or moody as parrots are, which is pretty interesting because I'd say that's true, and that is just one reason they are actually decent pets. So here's what this says. What's it like personality-wise, as social as parrots, as potentially demanding, intense? He answers, more social than parrots. Toucans, Arasaris especially, are used to living in large groups, normally in a household environment. They will see living there as their flock and their owner as their mate. They aren't demanding or moody as parrots are. The most demanding thing is their diet. They must be fed fresh fruit daily and a special low iron soft bell pellet. Right, exactly. So when someone asks Brock about how injurious toucans are, he basically agrees with my assessment in the other videos. So he says, toucans don't bite like parrots do. Their bills are gentle and light, mostly used for picking fruit and storing body heat. They will grip your hand with the bill only to taste or show affection. That is exactly true. Now, you remember this nonsense, this fake AF thumbnail for the video that has over 1 million views? And he now claims this is one reason toucans make bad pets. So this leads one to wonder, is it possible that one's critical thinking ability and intelligence level can degrade with age? So younger Brock was actually making truthful statements about toucans as pets. And this leads me to this absolute gem here. Someone attacked Brock with the same nonsense I deal with on a daily basis. So watch Brock argue with this person who's not in favor of keeping toucans as pets. Someone says, I have to agree. I don't mean to be a downer, but I don't think toucans should be pets. They aren't bred to be domesticated. Dogs and cats have been yada yada yada. You know, the same old thing I keep hearing again and again. And then Brock says, but if they were domesticated, that would make it okay? Please, I'm sure a Yorkshire Terrier would be happier as a wolf in the wild. And then they respond, but a Yorkshire Terrier isn't a wolf. That's my point. A Yorkshire Terrier has undergone thousands of years of evolution. I hear that all the time. It drives me crazy. Once your toucan has undergone this evolution from domestication, then I can see it being a pet. But since it hasn't, it should be left in the wild, of course. And then Brock says, if that's your argument, I argue that I'm starting its adaptation process now. So I am actually doing people in the future a favor. Other than that, I'm done feeding trolls. And they're not very happy, and I think that's the last thing he says. And someone else says, nice bird, but why are you keeping an exotic animal? And he says, because they are awesome. Why else? Go Brock, you are totally right. He actually sounded a little like me there. So I'm totally with him on that, but of course he seems to have recently done a 180. So let me drop a few reminders here. Brock now says he doesn't support keeping toucans or any exotic animals as pets.
These are animals that belong in the wild, and I really believe that. I wish things didn't have to be the way that they are. That's where they should be, but we don't live in a world where that's the case. People have taken them out of the wild, animals become endangered. Toucans don't make good pets. I've said this a million times. I don't recommend them or endorse them as pets.
And let's look at this gold on his Discord that someone sent me. He actually has this pinned to his Discord. I don't know if he wrote it, but he did approve of it in some way. Gaze upon this nonsense here. You definitely do not want a toucan. Brock advocates against people getting toucans for several reasons. They require a lot of time and money to care for, much more than a parrot. That totally flies in the face with what he used to say. And so most people are not equipped to provide adequate time and care for toucans. Where does he get off acting like parrots are easy to care for? They actually aren't. They're practically monkeys with feathers, but okay. Then he says then they say they require a very specific and expensive diet of fruit and specialty toucan food. Guys, it's not that expensive. It's a bag of pellets and about 3 to 5 different types of fruits. Not that hard to provide. I don't know where people are getting this from. Their adoption fees are often in the $10,000 range. Well, sure, if you get a captive bred Toco toucan, but you can also adopt one. You can rehome one. You can beg your followers for donations for them, of course. Or you can get an Arasari, which is significantly less expensive. And he doesn't make any mention of the Arasaris. If you adopt a rehomed toucan, they can have difficult to diagnose health problems and difficult to manage behavioral problems. You know, like the behavioral problems of his keel-bill toucan, which are actually just normal toucan behavior. Combined, these problems pose a more difficult challenge than adopting a rehomed parrot. Nope, I wouldn't say that. Nope. That's pretty much just his opinion. Furthermore, there are only a few veterinarians who know enough about toucan anatomy and physiology to provide adequate care for your toucan. Health problems are hard to diagnose. So yeah, and then he actually says that vet care is no big deal. So yeah. Even if you catch them early, and it's not uncommon for toucans to pass away because of this. Yeah, he would know something about toucans passing away since his Toco toucan passed away, and the Arasari that I mentioned, not sure where that one is. So yeah. Toucans require extra large housing and constant around-the-clock care and attention. There are many, many reasons you do not want to adopt a toucan. Alright, here's the part that makes me nuts. In this community, we encourage people to enjoy toucans vicariously through Brock, who is one of the most knowledgeable and experienced toucan carers in the country. Is he serious? I mean, I don't know if he wrote this, but he posted this on his Discord. He's one of the most knowledgeable and experienced toucan carers in the country. What kind of person has the absolute audacity to be okay with the following being written about him? He's telling people not to get toucans even though he does so. Notice it doesn't say that smaller toucans might be a better choice for people or that they are specialized pets for the right owners. It just says Brock advocates against getting toucans, and that's it. He says they're more work for parrots, and he seems to have thought otherwise in the past. I mean, this is what somebody wrote on his Reddit, and I think this is what he said. The account, by the way, is deleted, and who knows why it's deleted. Maybe he doesn't want you to see it. They are definitely uncommon birds to have as pets. I truly think they make better pets than many of the larger birds, macaws, cockatoos, many parrots, because they don't live as long and they don't require as much attention and interaction as those other birds. I completely agree. That is completely true. Of course, that's my opinion, but it definitely makes sense. And so the deleted account says, upvoted because you speak the truth. I do believe that's him. He claims they are expensive, yet he begs his followers to pay for more birds, their medical bills, And now he's even asking for a new house so that he can potentially get more birds. He says there aren't that many vets who care for them, while he says on Reddit, vet care isn't a huge deal. I have a vet here that just does native wildlife, and she's been a huge help. As for anything specific, the Dallas World Aquarium, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, vet care, not a big deal, he says. But, the worst thing that he says is that we must live vicariously through him while sending him money for expensive birds. And remember that he says he makes 75% of his income through these birds. And he's been aggressively promoting these birds as pets from day one, to his benefit, for his self-aggrandizement. So for him to call himself one of the most knowledgeable and experienced toucan owners in the country, or for him to endorse that being said about him, folks, who is this guy? What has he done? I would like to see even one credential that he has to make or endorse that claim. So he's a narcissist, plain and simple, and a completely delusional one at that. He hasn't done anything. He has no specialized credentials. He bought some birds. He might be some of the few who bought the birds, and now he thinks he's some kind of expert or something because he happens to have toucans while most people don't have them. All of his information comes from people who've pioneered toucan care and people who've designed the pellets that keep the birds alive in captivity. All he did was buy the toucans, one of which died under 6 years old, and I have no idea what happened to his collared Aerosari, Zoe. So presumably either gave it away, it escaped, or maybe it died prematurely. Whatever happened, he apparently only had it for a few years. Toucans are not hard to care for if you follow some very simple rules that he himself does not follow. For instance, he feeds the birds junk food for absolutely no reason. I have no idea why he does it. Such as Fruit Loops, pasta, and even Chick-fil-A. He even did that in the past, even in a Reddit post. Someone wrote, "So, you feed him Fruit Loops?" And he writes, "I have fed her a couple before, but it's not recommended." Well, duh. They need a strict low iron diet. Believe it or not, they love starchy foods like spaghetti more than anything. Why is he feeding birds this? Birds are fragile. You don't screw around with birds' health. They're not like dogs. There's just no logical reason to be doing this. Just stick with the fruits. Stick with the pellets. He's also taken his untrained birds outside with no restraint and recommended that on his Reddit AMA. He also believes they should be left out to roam the house, and he still does this and still advocates this. This is very dangerous because toucans can easily become injured and swallow inedible objects. They are actually known to do that. Oh, but here is the pièce de résistance, okay? So Mr. I don't support exotic pets. He was planning on breeding toucans as pets, as a side job.
Sometimes I don't recommend them or endorse them as pets. And nor do I want to breed them for that reason.
Brock wanted to breed toucans for profit. Yup, just like the people he was disparaging in his stupid little video. So here he says, "I plan on going to school for zoology or ornithology." I have no idea if that even happened, by the way. "After I'm done with my network security degree. Animals are one of my passions, especially birds. I can assure anybody with doubts that I have the utmost respect and care for these animals, and plan on breeding them as a side job in the next 5 years." So, seeing as he had plans to profit off of these birds in the first place, one can only imagine why those plans changed. Perhaps in a very Carol Baskin-esque fashion, he realized that being a fake toucan rescuer and getting people to send him money was far more lucrative. In addition to this, telling other people they shouldn't get a toucan helps him eliminate competition and continue to be one of the few YouTubers who have these expensive birds, so he can keep pretending to be some kind of expert on them. Oh, and by the way, I know someone might be thinking, well, Brock changed his mind. He's allowed to do that. Well, consider that his information when he was younger was actually a lot more accurate. That is the evidence-based information. I've provided references for the things that I'm saying about these toucans. He's basically now lying, telling people the birds are bad pets because they have a harmful bite, and placing that fake blood on the thumbnail. And obviously he's making money by spreading that kind of lie. He's now saying what he has to say to create a narrative that only he is qualified to own a toucan, and we just need to watch him and send all of the toucans to him. So that's pathetic, disgusting, and egomaniacal.